Check, check. Quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Check, coach. I can hear you loud and clear. And welcome back at the buzzers. I hope you had a good trading day. And kind of an interesting day in the equities world.
Yeah.
We won't mention natural gas. Oh, I
You
just
mean
did.
you mean the market that just goes up?
Yeah, the market that just goes up. Yeah, and so does my. It's funny. My heating bill is going to go up faster than that market went up. I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
So,
Well, look at this chart. It's just breaking out. But welcome everyone to At the Buzz, our market recap. If this is your first time here, I'm Coach Jay. That is Coach Paul. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we could have taken advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay. Been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 13 years and in the futures markets for the past 6. And that's Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I have been involved in the futures industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share my experiences and wisdom and perhaps help you become a better trader.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach. And you are all the chat. Thank you all for joining. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button and subscribe. We're trying to get Tops up to 150K subscribers. And we don't really get to control what happens when we hit there. But I've heard all of the team mention that everyone's going to be happy when we do. So tell your friends and family to hit that subscribe. I know if you're here already with us, you're probably subscribed, but you know, we don't want to cook the books, but there's some things that you guys could probably do to help us out. But let's get into let's get
Is,
into
is that an incentive?
I didn't say that, but this is all recorded on YouTube, isn't it? Let's get into
Uh,
let's get into these markets. As far as numbers go, we know we had housing starts out this morning, 1.36 million. Forecast was 1.39, and then the only other big news event today was the FOMC minutes, uh, which it's not a new rate decision. We're going to hear pretty much what reiterate what was said during the January meeting. So not much of a change there. Uh, and that's it as far as planned headlines go. I know we had Bostic speaking towards the end of the day. There were some comments from the president as well. I wasn't feeling too great this morning, so I didn't pay too much attention to the news. But anything that you saw on your side, Coach, that we should be paying attention to?
um, um, the Fed minutes made a temporary jump, but really nothing big. Last night was talk of more tariffs, I guess, but market is really didn't do much. So on the news front, really didn't affect it. So you took a good day to be taking some rest.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on Topstep TV this morning. Took some rest. Did take a couple trades, some losses in my Topstep accounts, some wins in my personal accounts. A little bit of a balance there, but that is trading. S&P 500 does hit a record high, right? That's SPX. We didn't see it in the futures yet, right? We're trading futures contracts here, but making that march to all-time highs rather slowly, right? Where we'll talk about it, what we're seeing on the futures charts, but these don't feel like markets that are making all-time highs. They're making them, but doesn't feel like it. Let's
Well,
talk.
you know,
Go ahead, Coach.
there's an old trading saw: don't sell a dull market.
Yep.
Um, Today, the range, what was the total range? It was in the S&Ps. What was it? It was less than half. Yeah, about half the average true range. It was 37 points. The average true range is 70. So, I mean, really nothing much for all, but there was some opportunities. So I'm not putting that, but putting that down, but these markets are really slowing down here.
Yeah, slowing down for sure. We'll look at some daily charts on the equities, but let's take a look at this quote board real quick. 35 different markets that we can trade with Top Step accounts, not just the equities. And today, to the downside, we had soybean oil down 1.99%, wheat futures down 2.15%, and lean hogs, our biggest percentage mover to the downside at 3.81%. Shout out to Coach Hoop if you were short. Uh, to the
Pork
upside,
chops for dinner tonight.
right? Um, To the upside, we had micro Bitcoin futures up 2.6%, micro Ethereum up 3.82%, and the market that looks like it's moving like a crypto market right now, looks like it's moving like a meme coin. Natural gas up 8.91% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. To talk about our big four, we had, what am I looking at here? Crude oil up 0.52%, gold up 0.10%. The S&P's up 0.13% and the Nasdaq down 0.03%. Now, with those percentage numbers, these do not feel like markets that are making all-time highs. I'm going to pull up an equity chart real quick. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. I'm going to go out to a daily chart, and you can barely
Wow.
see the candles. What is happening here? Well, let's take a
Well,
look.
that's
Go ahead, coach.
that's a that's a dull market. I,
Man,
I mean, that is the description. The volume is average to below average. Um, so if we go with the old adage that don't never sell a dull market, I'm still very friendly to all-time highs coming soon.
today felt like you couldn't buy a dull market either, but I agree with you. So with this happening, I know we've talked a little bit about before about maybe there's no adults in the room. In the equities markets, we have been seeing size trade in this range. There was a 700 lot in the Nasdaq that got filled today at 274. There were 1,000 lots being traded in the S&P all day, and these weren't spoof orders, right? They were leaving these orders out there on the books to get filled. Uh, and if we just kind of look at how markets work, right? We don't trend all the time, and we talk about markets being in consolidation. I just keep thinking back to crude oil. The one thing about crude oil is that actual supply and demand concerns affect the price of crude oil. But it sat in that consolidation for 3 months and then had a really nice quick move out of it, right? Quick 10-point move in a couple of and maybe a tenth of the time that it took in that consolidation, right? I think that move in crude oil once we broke out of the range was 10 days, back up to 80. So looking at the equities here, where we spent a lot of time in this range, going on 64 days now, almost 2 months. Um, it's a lot of time being spent at these prices. Now, where does the move happen? Is it to all-time highs? Do we sell off from here? Not sure, but there's inventory being traded here. Go ahead, coach.
I'm just gonna say that looks like a cup and handle. The cup is being made. So I I'm the more I'm very friendly to this market,
Yeah,
but as friendly as I am, I have to trade. We have to, at TopStep have to trade day to day.
correct.
So um, on a day like we've had these this week, um, if you're looking for a big move, probably going to get chopped up. Um, but there was good opportunities early this morning to buy
For sure.
this if you were patient, and also um, if to fade the market. Um, Now that's not my specialty, but early this morning. If well, let's start on the NQ on a 3 minute.
Let's look at, yeah, equity open, right? All right, let's go to equity
Yeah,
open. Type that in the YouTube chat. That was supposed to be here. All right, here we go. Here's the 3-minute opening range this morning.
So we break down, we leave the range, and made bottom. I got caught in that on
Yeah.
a day trade. Took my two ATRs. I'm trading. So we talk about in chop if in these kind of markets, one of the things you can do is pare down, go smaller. I'm trading two micros. Um, but so mm, I lost two ATRs. My loss didn't kill me. But once we got back over VWAP and over the middle of the range, there was opportunity to get long. Even when we broke out of the opening range,
Yep. Up here.
even though, yeah,
Yeah. It's a couple decent
um,
trades here.
I,
My first. Go ahead, coach.
if oh, that was it. Quickly put the 200, the half hour up with the 200.
Well, would you look at that? The white line again. It does it again. And it does it the NASDAQ way, where it runs it by 40 points before it recovers. But once it recovers,
Now that was not easy trading that, but if you just looked at a half an hour, and I'm like, okay, we closed below it, and this is a J trade on the half hour.
oh
Now
man.
I that saved me when I look back at the half hour. I literally made $60 today trading micros. I felt good about it because I was, but looking at the results of the day, it being unchanged is not a bad thing.
Right.
What, er, when I was younger, I had to probably get stubborn because it started out a sell, and now I'm in a hole. Maybe I add to it, and if it goes back down, I get out and for a scratch. But there was same thing in the S&P. But we don't need, if you want to go there, same thing.
This is even see, and
Um,
this is why the ES just nice and respectful, right? If I had a daughter, I would want her to date the ES, not the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is the dude that just comes and picks her up, leather jacket, no helmet on his motorcycle, and it's just like this is who. But the ES is nice,
tattoos under his eyes.
right, right, nice and respectful. Uh, lets me know exactly what time she's gonna be home, all that stuff, right? This is yeah, this is who I would want my daughter to date, not that other guy. Uh,
And look at that J trade,
much cleaner,
much cleaner.
much cleaner.
And
Takes
then
his grandma out for walks, like
yeah, brings you a 12 pack of your favorite beer.
right, right. Just nice and respectful.
All around good guy. Let's tag a, VWAP to that J trade there.
And this one was right off of the first 30-minute open. Man, that's really nice. My first trade, I mean, saying all of that, I did trade the Nasdaq today. My first trade was a buy
Went robot
off of.
coach.
Can you hear me now? Still robot?
Yeah. Hope that's not me.
Uh, let's just check real
Yeah,
quick.
there you're good now.
All right, it says I'm fine here in the chat. Yeah, my first trade was in the Nasdaq, so I'm gonna go back over here. We talked about the J trade. We'll look at it on a shorter time frame. Um, we have this candle, right? This 1030 candle here, and I don't know if there was news or anything like that, but on this candle, which was almost as much volume as the opening candle, I framed this one out, right, and say, okay, this one is important. My first long, not in this account, in my personal accounts, I could pull up Quant Tower and show you, but was at 158, right, where We had this. I'm looking at this range. I wanted to buy right at 50%, but we can see how we kind of closed through 50% very aggressively. So now I'm looking at both of these candles again. Big selling comes in here, but it can't push lower than that higher volume. This is confirmation for me that okay, whoever came in and bought and created this price action is now defending these prices. And we've talked about how to operate with this trade. This is a very early entry for this trade, right? Your entry does not have to be here because there's nothing to say that this move just can't keep going, right? But I'm taking a chance here, kind of limiting the risk where it might be lower probability, where if we just continue selling, great. But I'm only going to take about 20 points of risk on this because if it does, then what that tells me is my timing is wrong, right? If you are, adding this trade to your playbook or you want to go with higher probabilities, waiting for that close above, like we continue to talk about, that close above, you might sacrifice trade location a little bit, but there's a little bit more confirmation that the market is done trading these prices. And you don't have to wait very long, right? It's a 30-point move where you miss some of it, but this goes back to what are your expectations for the outcome of the move, right? If you're expecting 10 points, then maybe not so much. But we've seen these moves, these trades, usually give us a decent opportunity, right? Here's 60 points. We get today wasn't the cleanest price action, so we get a bunch of chop, but you could have waited for this close and still got almost a 40-point trade out of it. On that confirmation of
It's
the close above.
interesting
Go ahead, coach.
right there when you talk about confirmation on the buy bar that broke out
This
of
one here.
that range.
Yep.
So think about that. We had selling, that was the full range, but the buying on that one bar was less volume, and it took out the high of the high volume down bar. Do the math. So
Right.
volume, less buyers took out heavy sellers. Um,
Yeah.
that that
It's concerning
that
for shorts.
well, that's the picture of confirmation if you ever wanted one, right?
Right.
Um,
Very concerning for shorts there. So Rich Layton asked the question, where did you get 20 points of risk from? So I told you guys before, I use different stops for different scenarios. This is a momentum stop. This one was a momentum stop, right? So I got in at 58s here, and I said, if this momentum is dying and we're going to get a quick pop here, I want quick confirmation, right? On this trade, I want to be wrong as quickly as possible, right? You got to think I'm buying it when the market looks like this. We just sold off 50 points. This is when you get those comments in the YouTube chat. Why the hell are you buying this? This doesn't make any sense, right? So I'm buying this really early because of that, right? I don't know for sure that the market isn't going to follow through here. So if it does, right, who knows where the bottom is, right? It could be another 50 points. It could be another 100 points. So on this one, I want to be wrong very quickly if I'm going to be wrong. And then I'm comfortable either getting back into the trade if it eventually does confirm, right? Once we
so,
get this go ahead,
Coach,
coach.
were you saying you want a predefined risk before you entered?
That is correct.
That is a principle of consistent winners. So good on you.
Thanks, coach. And with this one, which might seem a little backwards, but here I'm going to allow this market. If I took the entry here, right, I'm going to let it confirm up here, and then I would go two ATRs here, right, because I need a little bit more space. Because if I now go 20 points, I'm going the market. I need to give the market space to trade back through this confirmation candle, right? Because all of this price action confirmed what I was looking for. So if they want to come back and test it, I have to be okay with that, right? They look like they were ready to go now, but if they weren't, I want to give them a little bit of space, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the day. But on this one, I'm early, so let me know if I'm wrong pretty quickly. If not, then I'll go ahead. Um, all right, and we can see once we got man,
What, coach?
this confirmation candle was the confirmation for the rest of the day. Just
Yeah.
kept
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
We just kept
And
coming back down.
look at the selling volume. It is after that you had those small candles,
Yep.
small, lesser than volume. Yet you didn't move. And I'm going to put that. This is like in trading in the pit. You get some, some entity, Goldman, just bought it 500 and up to 10. We trade 10, 11, 10, 9, 9, 8,
Yeah.
10, 11, 12. So what is that? They're not that is a solid bid.
Yeah.
That is a solid buy that you can lean on. Like you were talking there, you can lean on that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And it gave you a couple opportunities to do it. Man, this is just it feels like pretty indecisive price action because it was, right? These aren't the cleanest moves to the upside, right? We're looking at it in hindsight. The one thing I think we need to visualize, right? I could visualize, oh yeah, I just got in right here and then I held it for 60 points. Was I comfortable holding a 30-minute trade that didn't move more than 20 points out of that range, right? That's the uncomfortable part of it for me, right? For you, it might
Yeah.
be a little different. If you zoom out, this is where Coach Paul says, use a line chart so I don't have to worry about the the indecision. But I know for myself, and I got in at 58s. I took the trade off in this consolidation because we stopped getting price action in my favor. Were there other ways that I could have managed this? There were. I could have gone, below this consolidation here. I could have gone, somewhere else, but was comfortable with what the market presented me at that time. Was there more space available? There was, but uh, that was my one trade of the day in that account.
Yeah.
Go ahead, coach.
You made that break off the highs. If you were watching the last hour,
Oh
it
yeah,
just and so this goes with small volume comparatively because the range was small.
yeah,
Um, and like I said, on the sell side, if we have VWAP and we go 280 hours past VWAP, can you get a sell? Can you get a sell?
yeah,
I don't, like you said, I don't want to. This review is reviewing what happened on the day. So with that, we can learn how markets move through volume, and this is a classic example.
yeah. Really nice one. So I know the house account guys, and just some prices to pay attention to tomorrow. We saw a 700 lot that was originally up at feel like it was above 300 somewhere. They moved it down eventually, right? So they had it sitting out there for a little while. They moved it down eventually and got filled at 274. So just keep that price in mind. It's pretty easy, right around 275. 700 lot got filled right around there, where someone looked like they needed a fill. They were waiting for the market to get to them, couldn't get it, so they got closer to market price and then eventually got filled at 275s. We can see the market did not trade above that for long once they got that fill. Um, but something I've been paying
Well,
attention to, and I go ahead, coach.
that just smacks reminds me of being in the 30-year bond options. Um, my feeling is a lot of that volume's coming from 0-day options.
Hmm.
There, because the market makers in the options are going to turn to the futures to hedge.
Okay.
So they don't, market makers aren't just taking un, unmeasured risk.
Right.
So if it seems to me I mean, that they're correlated. I think that's why those gamma lines. That was I wonder where that gamma line was at that time because that volume came and it sat there, right?
Right.
And the closer we came to the close,
Got to get a
they
fill.
moved.
Yeah.
They moved, right?
Yep.
They thought, okay, just sell them,
Mhm. Yep.
and that's when you get those kind of candles.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Uh,
I
we'll
just
get we'll get Anne Marie back on one day, and we can talk about gamma lines. I don't know if Anne Marie is in the chat, but I know she looks at them all the time, and we've been talking, for a while. You hear a lot of people talking about it, about how options data is moving all markets right now. So I would love to get Anne Marie back on. I'll send her a message and see if we can get her back on sometime next week. One thing I do want to point out here, I know towards the end of the day was looking for a buy to maybe push through these all-time highs. Again, we're trading at the high of that December 18th candle. We'll go back and take a look at that candle's range. Um, the high of the candle is 390. The open of that candle is 310. And then if we went to, oh man, I just did it again. Move.
I thought I was the only one who does that. I was like, turn around, everything I worked on was gone. Like,
Okay, there we go.
oh,
I fixed it. I fixed it. I accidentally dragged the chart down. All right, but this open of this FOMC candle, right? 310s, right, is where we keep rejecting. And if we went down to a shorter time frame, if you look at the 3-minute candle that was the FOMC print, all of these wicks are happening right there. The high of that candle is 295, right? If we look at the high of the range today, right around 300. Uh, Coach, I was looking for buys towards the end of the day, right? Saying, okay, you know what, with all of these bigger orders getting filled, right? There's enough buyers, enough interested buyers, right? Because all of the big orders that we're seeing are passive orders. You need aggressive market participants to trade them. Uh, the closer we get to a major level, which is that 300, at some point, and we can look at VWAP from the New York session, it never left the 3-minute opening range until pretty late in the day. When we were up here at these 300s, I wanted to buy it, but I'm happy I didn't click the button because of the hesitation at a major level. The high of the day today was 299.75. Just a quick little hint here, chat. It doesn't work here all the time, but if I ever see a market push into a major level and don't hit it by a tick, usually a pretty good short signal, or trade the opposite direction signal. And you don't have to get it right at the highs, but it's a very cheap trade in this case, right? We had this huge indecisive day where there's a lot of overlap. We see what the daily candle looks like, and then we push into a major level near some higher time frame resistance where we know we sold off. Uh, if it doesn't work out, we're talking about a 7-point risk here. If I get short on that rejection, make a new high above a major level, I'll get out at 7 points for a really nice reaction. Full disclosure, I did not take that trade, but this kept me out of that long towards the end of the day.
Coach, were you saying that 700 lot was right around there?
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly what price they had it before they moved it. I know it got filled at 74, 274, but I think it was right above 300. When
Which would be a strike price
right,
and a
exactly.
major strike price.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, markets are bullish on a higher time frame, but these last 3 indecisive days, I don't know what the market's waiting for. We got jobless claims tomorrow, um, Nvidia earnings on the 26th. Anything else on the equities, Coach?
There's just one other question from Tenacious 21. Are we saying price is going to be reluctant to pass through that level now?
The 274 level? No, not saying that at all. At this point, I would just want to see what the market's response is to it. We know that a big order got filled there, and I'm going with the assumption that that's not a day trader, right? So every time the market gets back to that price, how do we respond? And they were a passive seller, so do they continue to passively sell at that price, or do they let the market trade through it because whatever business they had at 275 they got done already, right? So that's how I'm looking at it.
And also, if you're talking about reluctant to make new highs or get past that candle, was it FOMC or CPI candle?
FOMC from the 18th.
FOMC from the 18th. It's not going to be reluctant. It is reluctant.
Yeah.
And I don't so it's a point of resistance. I mean, look at those are is that a that's a daily.
Yeah, that's a daily.
When have uh, s- That doesn't happen too often.
No, it doesn't.
So there's the reluctance. Um, but the way this is shaping it from my point of view is this is a cup. We get through, and you can project it's going to be pent up buying. I that's but every time, like Coach said, we come to that price, it backs off. Um, so yeah, reluctant. Yeah, it has been reluctant. Because it won't it doesn't have volume above it, right?
You're right. Speaking of which, and JD just pointed out in the chat as well. Hate to say it, far from VWAP. I stopped doing my Twitter posts, my halfway through the month Twitter posts about monthly VWAP, but the monthly VWAP for February is this green line right here. Uh, we are, and not to say that this is going to happen. Come on, let me measure it. But we are currently how many ATRs on the daily?
The daily is about 400.
So one full daily, one ATR on the daily chart, a little maybe 1.25 daily ATRs away from that monthly VWAP, with a lot of indecision up here, right? A lot of indecision, a lot of sell orders getting traded up here. Not saying it's going to happen, but we do see sometimes, a revisit of that monthly VWAP before we continue up. Anything can happen. We're day traders here. If I see some price action towards the downside that can actually break below these lows, that could potentially be a target. It's a far one, but it is also only one average daily day away to the downside. And we've had some consolidation over the last couple of days, right? This, if we understand how averages work, today's range, high to low, coach, 172 points. Yesterday's range, 222 points. The day prior, that was the holiday, so we can't really count that one, 92 points. If we understand how averages work, coach, we've had some anomalies to the downside. Are we due for one to the upside?
Well, that goes back to the ATR. The ATR is now, it was at 450, and the Nasdaq it's at 350 now. Um, th- the rule of thumb is that as the average true range or fear index is a volatility, as that goes down, market has confidence and has a better shot at continuing to the upside.
Yep.
Um, so I'm still
Great.
favoring the upside.
Yeah, me too. And this is a great point from his royal trades, and then we'll move on to other markets. Spent a lot of time on the equities here. The question of VWAP is always when. How many have been trying to buy downside targeting VWAP on the daily for the last 6 days? It's a great point, right? We don't know when, and that's why I'm not going to just short this because of an opinion that we should retest this, right? I could, but I'm accepting that I'm placing a trade based on my opinion and not what the market is saying. So I have to live with whatever result that is, right? So this is just a hey, we've gotten far away. We've seen what this has looked like. Something I talked to my VIPs about yesterday when we do some pre-market prep. Have a hypothesis for both sides, right? What does the case look like for the upside? What does the case look like for the downside? And then which one does the market pick? Right? If it picks the upside case, I have targets, I have stops, I have entry levels, and if it picks the downside case, I have the same. And then trying to trade whichever one is the best one from there. Anything else on the equities, coach?
No, let's move to gold.
Let's move to gold. All right, here's gold on the daily. What are we seeing here?
Potential to explode to the upside. I just, I mean, we had our that was Friday. That
This here, yeah.
uh, and we talked about on the weekly. We've held those lows from the since Monday or Sunday nights open.
Yep.
Um, so if we go to half hour, it could be a good opportunity to buy it when it reaches the half hour. Oh, Today's low.
The white line.
So I took a few micros. I should have taken the big one, darn it. No. Um,
Should have bought 50.
so just looking at, I want to try this anytime we hit the 200. I'm gonna on that sell today for you be on low because it touched the 200. All right. So and look at it's a classic J trade.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yep, right above here.
There it is. So we have that spike in volume to the 200 lows of the day. It's almost like it's a setup. Um, so hold to the 200. Now what I'll do now is I'll put another VWAP on the buy candle because the rule is if it breaks the high,
Hmm.
and that's that second, it breaks the high, right? That selling is failed. And it did it, it closed. This was a special J. Now look at that candle. If we frame it out, we have urgency.
Yep.
I wish I would only trade this setup, but if
That's
wishes were fishes, we'd have a fish fry every day, as the old
man.
saying goes. That was um, went right back to VWAP from overnight, but that was a classic J trade off the 200 half-hour moving average. And
Yeah,
look
this
at
is a
that,
really nice one, coach.
that selling volume was higher than average volume.
Yep.
And it came, what was that, the close of gold? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it was. Oh man,
Okay.
it was. So here's the close right here. Golden oil for all of you that remember when we talked about that. There's the close in gold.
Okay.
Oh man. Wow. What can we say? What a move. This is after gold is closed, right? And we haven't seen this much lately. I've been tracking them. Trust me, I have an alarm that goes off on my phone every day at 1:20 Eastern time looking for this trade. I've started to ignore it because every time I look at the charts, doesn't show up. But today was a perfect example, and I damn it, I wish I didn't ignore this one because what a trade! Uh, what a trade! It only takes you
Uh,
5 minutes to kind of figure out whether or not it's going to go.
And what's your risk? So,
Very inexpensive. 3 points.
so now you know why I watched the 200 on a half hour.
Yep.
And like I said, anytime it touches it, I'm doing this. And then I'm not going to cover this again. But
Coach said he's shared it enough. Do with that information what you will. He'll see you on the order book. Uh, anything else on gold, Coach? Before we move on.
no,
All right. Awesome. Let's go over to crude oil. Let's look at the 30-minute on crude. Haven't looked at crude. I feel like we haven't looked at crude in a little bit, but
yeah.
we got down
Mm,
towards this $70 level, back above the 200 moving average on the 30. What are you seeing here, Coach?
Also on the daily, um,
Mm,
sure. And it's, we had that big rally, we came back and we're staying above the 200. I think the next key is that 20-day moving average. I think we touched it today. That if we can get above that, we should see some buying from funds. Now, look, we talked earlier, and I don't want to talk about natural gas because I'm weak that I didn't keep longs. I'm not sleeping at night. um, but with natural gas, going since November is up. If I read it right, it was up 200%. crude oil is a cousin. The cousin might get dragged along with the rest of the family here. Um, on that daily, you know, so I'm getting. It's hard to say in
This
crude,
looks
but
like a meme coin.
yeah, well, yeah. So let's. Is this the half hour?
This is the daily. I went to nat gas, but I'll go
Oh,
back to crude oil.
oh,
Let's look at a half
oh,
hour.
Jesus!
I'm sorry, coach. My bad.
I thought I thought I missed that move in the crude.
Really nice.
So
Wow, look at that.
yeah.
Look at that. Would you look at that? Go ahead, coach.
Now, is that from last night?
Yep. Last night's open. Uh,
What do you see, Coach?
urgency, urgent buying. I was not looking at my charts here. I know we have some traders that are, they trade the Globex Open. Are you trading Asia session and things like that? I think I've, just come to terms at this point that I'm not going to catch every trade that I see. But if I can share the information and somebody can say, "Hey, coach, I caught this one because you shared this information," then I'll take some solace in that. Uh, Another low risk opportunity, and again, we don't know that it's going to play out this way. But if you put the full puzzle together, we got back above the 200 moving average on the 30-minute yesterday. Thank you, Coach Paul, for that one. Um, we frame out the first 30 minutes of this day's session, and we see the markets this way, right? We don't really know, but we see the market this way where it closes outside of that range. VWAP leaves the range as well. There's not a guarantee that this is going to continue. Coach Paul and I sometimes we stay on the call after the fact, and by the time we're done talking, the markets are opening up again, and we're like, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at something. Sometimes it doesn't work. Full disclosure: we took a yen trade last week. Stopped this out. Defined risk. It's okay. It's not going to work all the time, but if the risk is defined, you have a 34 tick stop here, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1. It's just a beautiful trade. I'm gonna go back to go Coach Paul. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Just do it.
Um, what time was that high made? Was that in New York, or was this
This
our
high.
cousins in London?
So this high right here is right around the equity open. Let's go
Okay.
down to a shorter time frame. Take a look at it. Oh yeah, right around.
So so that was New York Open. Let's go to New York Open.
New York Open for crude is right here. Still a decent trade.
And add some urgency. There's actually another 2 to 1,
Yep.
but is that a now here? Is this a potential J trade? Look, that selling came off the highs. All right. I know this is a different scenario. Let's move it all back to the chart to the. So and just so we get to see, look at when we see that volume, that is selling volume
Yep.
at the highs of the day. A little different, right? So say you want to sell it because there's plenty of crude, um, and we can drill more. I don't know, whatever. That's a level you want to sell, or like that's you want to, or this is going higher. All right.
Right.
So at that point, whatever your trading is, let's say you want to buy it. Go ahead and buy it. What's my risk? Well, look at that selling. If it breaks that low, I could buy and say, here's a low risk trade. If it breaks the low of that high volume candle, I'm out.
Right.
Those, it's really important to look at how that stands out. I think that was a report, wasn't it? Is that the
Uh,
today's?
no, that's 9:39 Eastern time, 8:39 Central. I don't know that there was a report. I know who was this just mentioned it. Billy said that the spike in nat gas yesterday was around news around the Ukraine war. So maybe there was a headline that came out around this time. Um, it wasn't planned though.
All right. Well, this is in the crude, right?
Right.
So let's just we're just watching the price action. we have what I mean, that's like 3 times the average volume. It's
Yeah.
not the opening or the close. It's really important. Some entity decided to sell it at the highs, and we wicked, right?
Yep.
Now, that's important in the flow. That's like, when I'm going to go back to the pit. Someone just, we're rallying. Someone just goes, I'll sell 5,000. I'll sell you 100. I'll sell you 500.
Yeah.
Literally, that kind of stuff. Where's that volume going to? Because we've already have longs, right?
Right.
It has to be absorbed by the other side.
Yep.
How now? Let's just do the equation. How are they reacting to that? So we
If
go to the
somebody
next
said they're selling 5,000 and I was buying 5,
candle. Yeah. All right. So we go into the next candle. Now this isn't a this is a selling J trade,
yep.
but
We don't talk about them much, but they happen.
yeah, because we mostly talk about equities.
Right. There you go.
But here, that was, well, how many were? Let's how what was the volume?
So on the highest volume candle was around 3,000. The next one was around the average, right around 1,000. So decent follow through.
Okay, so if there was 3,000 volume, we split that in half. It's 1,500 buyers, sellers, right?
Right.
What There's an imbalance here. An imbalance has to be worked out.
Mm.
Now we go. Where do we go first? Right to VWAP. VWAP is the old buyers.
Yep.
Okay, we go in. We're still at VWAP. Now, if I'm still long from that breakout and it hasn't reached my target, it's time to pay attention. Let's go to the next candle.
I love what you just said there, coach, because this could very easily be a buy signal, but you got to think about what happened up here.
Yeah, that's because that volume is the big middle finger here.
Yep.
Um, and look at, we just dance around. Let me know when we close below. Oh, wait. Yeah, that could be it. Now you're feeling good. We absorb that selling,
Yep.
and you can still be long.
You have
When
if you got long off of VWAP, you had it's not the biggest trade, but you had 10 points in the profit. That's $100 with crude oil. And I think this is why it's very important to pay attention to the flow because I could want this to go to 74. Whoever did this
Right,
doesn't want it to.
because right here, if I'm long, I'm one of those longs off the break. I'm very comfortable. Where,
Yep.
but I don't like that volume and that wick off the highs of the move.
100%.
Okay, do I want to hang around? Let's say I was 20 cents from my target.
Yeah.
Is it prudent? Heck, I see that volume. I'm kind of gone.
Yeah.
We're day traders, by the way. When we talk about, am I greedy? Let's just say, okay, prove me. Go to the next candle.
I'm going to just say it right now. My target, if I took this long, if this doesn't get above 50% of this candle, I'm out.
Okay,
I'll take the 15 points.
it's
You
stubborn too. I'm
yeah, you could
right.
be
Here
long
we
here.
go.
Oh, it's just a consolidation. It's going to break out.
Is this a pinch? Let's go forward. And there we close below both of them. We closed, not traded.
Yep. Do we have inventories out today? Today's
I
Wednesday.
think, yeah, I believe so.
Uh, I don't see it on the calendar, but we got a volume spike at that time. No, inventories are tomorrow,
Okay.
because of the holiday. So yeah, no inventories, but still, yeah,
Still, this is where the imbalance, the buyers, what I like to say is the 500-pound bar
right.
that
Can't
someone
lift it.
that you can't lift it, and all of a sudden you put just one more pound on it, it goes down quickly. But that is a classic example of reading the flow. You can both sides. And
Yep.
if you're really good, and I'm not that good, you got to take both of those trades.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you're just reading it, reading the volume and its result, the volume, the result, the volume itself, the result is VWAP. It's it fills the equation. There's an imbalance. Um, and boy, now look at this. Is this a possible J trade?
It's another one, right? The one thing, with taking these trades, because I'll take them too. But then you're asking yourself, right? Is the trade I'm taking in the flow or is it the retracement, right? Is it the setup for the ultimate flow trade, right? I think I said it before, but I broke my trade setups down into 8 setups, and some of them are taking the retracement, but in that retracement trade, and we've talked about it, counter trend trades, right? Taking what the market is willing to present to you. I could want to this here changed the flow, right? This selling changed the flow, and then yeah, this is just a continuation of that flow. Never gets back above that high. We take out the open. Some nice price action here. I haven't looked at crude, but this is a nice two-sided trade.
Yeah, that when we that's where the imbalance is worked out in that choppiness there.
Yeah,
So the initial is like, here you go. Oh, the original buyers that were late and getting out probably, but that's the turbulence after the. I mean that. I mean, what kind of is it? A hammer candle or a doji on the high?
at the high, it has a wick on both sides. Chat knows better
It
than we
does
do.
have. Well, call it what you want.
It's selling.
It's
Somebody sold
right.
it.
There was selling. And did we get a J trade on that? And look at that other volume. That's even bigger.
This one here.
So what happens here? Do we get a J trade? No, we never
So
got over the high.
I want to talk about this one a little bit because similar to that Nasdaq trade, right, where I said I preempted the Nasdaq trade, right, where I bought it near the lows. This is a perfect example of preempting it and it fails, right? I could have bought it down here, and that was the highest volume. We've seen this recover a lot of the time. The one thing about this one is it didn't happen near the lows of the day where the Nasdaq trade did. But yeah, let's say I bought it right at 52s. If I'm in this long, this is another trade that, and I'm not saying that I would get out, but I would be thinking about, okay, I got in long. We got above 50%. It closed. This trade, if I'm long, has to get above these 68s, or I'm accepting the risk and it's going to turn into a loser. The flow never continued to the upside, right? We didn't get that reversal volume. So if I preempt it, this is one of the times where I'm going to preempt it and lose. And that's why if you're waiting for confirmation, waiting for that candle to close above kind of keeps you out of this. And this is why we keep our wrists tight, right? Where I said I want to be wrong quickly. Here, I would go below these recent lows here. If it gets below that, stop me out. I want to be wrong quickly because I'm getting in this trade against the flows here, right? If we closed above, great. Same thing with this one up here, right? We closed below, so I'm more comfortable with more risk. But here, I don't know that this is going to stop, and it didn't, right? So
Oh,
am I comfortable with a long here? Go ahead, coach.
no, I just said, wow,
Yeah.
that's the definition of a dead cat bounce.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Came back, checked that volume again, and sold off a couple of times from there. So I'd be paying attention to this range right here, 72.68 down to 72.50s. Not a coincidence that this happened near a major level as well. Guess we call it a minor level because it's a 50 in crude, but not a coincidence there. Not a coincidence. Any other markets you want to talk about, coach?
Um, we did crude, gold, and the indices. Um, that's about it for me. Anything else you? How about the audience?
Anything else you guys want to talk about? Let us know. Let's get to some questions. We got some questions here. So we answered, I think, most of them. Shubham asked about the gold trade we talked about before. What is the criteria for entering here? Same criteria that it is for every trade, right? So I'll give it to you guys one more time because we love our viewers here. I'm looking at this 125 Eastern time candle. This is now on a 5 minute in gold. Looking at that candle as the close, right? If you look back on your charts, you'll see a volume spike at this time almost every day. So same thing I do with everything else, attach VWAP to it. And does volume and price leave that range? Entry ideally is somewhere once, price closes outside and volume does. In this case, I would have entered anywhere in this range right about here. And risk would be make a new low. And if it continues to trend, great. Normally with this trade, I'm just going to trail it as the market goes. Japanese yen.
Oh yeah, that was a good trade last night.
Deshaun was saying you could probably do a 2-to-1 risk reward on a continuation, half the retracement amount for risk and full retracement amount for profit. See what you're saying there. Japanese yen, coach. What are we looking at?
Well, let's start with last night's open. We're above the 200 moving average in a half hour, and it's kind of being pushed up. It's like um, we had a small open. Um, yeah, tough trade or good trade if that's you. But um, it's what is it doing? It's rising naturally. It's above the 200, looking for places to buy. So can we, if we go to a 5 minute or a 3 minute, and can we get a J trade?
I'm on a 5 minute here. Just looking at some of these volume spikes. Oh, there's one right here at these lows. Well, you could have taken this one
There's
too.
one.
Here's one.
Uh,
What the hell is she doing out there? Sorry, my dog is just going crazy right now. Uh, here's one.
doesn't want to hear about the Japanese yen, I guess.
No.
All right. So we have the vol. We get above it. What's our risk? I'll go 2 ATRs.
Right about there.
New lows. Did we get 1 to 1? Yeah. Did we get 2 to 1? No.
Close. You got close.
All right. But we didn't get there. So we'll see the next selling. I want to see, you know what? Now that think about it, I want to see the selling spikes because I'm going to buy it.
You want to see where sellers fail. Yep. Want to see where sellers fail.
I'm not I'm not the sharpest knife in a drawer, but
You want to see where sellers fail. That's going to give you the best price act, the best location, right? Let them sell it. Let them sell it.
right?
And until I
I,
see exhaustion, I'm not buying, right? What if that's your rule? Until I see exhaustion, I'm not buying. And
okay,
you have to be
now
patient. It's going to suck, right? I'm just going to be honest cuz you're going to is it this one? And that's why I think we go with some of the confirmation rules we talk about. Does it close above it?
now yeah, I would say this is it making new lows for the session?
Yeah.
So let's just start at the session.
Okay. Here session. Here we go.
We'll just okay, we don't even have to let's just start at a session and find the first spike in down volume. So there it is right there. So we can get rid of that opening. Let's just start there. Let's go through the day and take 2 to 1. All right. Now what we see it, we close, there's a spike. Now Did it make lows for the session?
At this point, yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. So now let's frame it out. Slap a VWAP on it.
You taking this one early?
I like take. You know what? I like to take it. You know what? Even if you took it early, right there, if it closes above VWAP, let's try that.
Right.
All right. And now I have new lows, right? Or 2 to 1. Because we don't, by the way, we don't know if that seller was finished and comes with another huge sell. We have to have some risk that predefined. So it doesn't happen. We're 2 to 1. We buy it there. Okay, let's go forward. Oh man, I'm a genius. I should have bought 5.
Best trader in the world.
Oh, best trader in the world. Now we get okay. That's one of them. Let's just go 2 to 1. Can we get it? It's getting there. Oh, 2 to 1. I
Yeah.
can almost I can see it. All right. Are you willing or are you greedy? This thing's going to the moon now. Or are you trading? 2 to 1. Done.
Yeah. Get out. And different management styles, right? Coach Paul, when we talked about this, 2 to 1, probably getting out. I'm probably gonna sacrifice a little bit here. I'm gonna be honest with you. Where I might think, oh yeah, this could be the one. So I'm gonna trail a little bit. I'm probably giving up this top half of this candle right here.
Okay. I'll sell you some more. No. All right. So let's see if we get another spike. There's a buying spike, which is probably short covering.
Right. Here's the
Who
opposite.
knows?
Again,
There's the opposite.
there's no continuation. Spike of volume immediately drops off. Even if you're not taking this as a trade, if you're long and there's no continuation, this is a good time to start thinking about getting out, right? Because
Yep.
just like we
There you
talked about
go.
in crude, same trade in crude.
So now we make new lows. Let's see if we get us. There's no really spike. These are, eh, I mean, it'll stick out a good
Yep.
spike.
Yeah. It almost you almost have to say it has to be higher than the last one, right? Here's the last one I got.
Okay. I, okay.
Trade higher than that, or close to it at least. I'd go with this one's pretty close.
Well, but you can measure it. Now, this one, do you want to be aggressive?
Could we consider? Could so I don't want to cherry pick because we know what's going to happen. Could I pick this one? 100% could. Did it make new lows on the session? That was your rule, coach. You
No.
guys are really just watching me and Coach Paul. This is exactly what happens when we get off the stream. We're just plotting out a trade. I just realized what time it was too. Just setting some rules here.
Uh,
Uh, it made a new low, so yeah, maybe I take it if it closes above VWAP, like we just talked about. It never does.
wow. Is that a spike?
That's another one. Frame it out. Attach VWAP. Does it close above? Yes. I'm in long here. Do I get a 2 to 1? Rinse and repeat. Someone said this is hindsight trading, but how do you know? Well, that was yesterday. Maybe I'm talking about hindsight comments, but how do you know what the setup is if you don't plan it out before you know? Read and react at this point. Read and react at this point. I love this game, coach.
By the way, hindsight trading, when you're learning, when you're, I don't know, if you just come in with a pre planned idea, right?
Yeah,
You have to develop an edge. What do you do if you want to develop an edge? You back test.
got to review.
You got to
Same things happen
review.
every day.
All right. I don't, yeah, hindsight. This, yeah, because using this, and we're just experimenting here.
Yeah,
If this works for you, hit the like button.
Hit the
If it
like button.
doesn't, don't hit the like button.
Just don't hit that dislike button. It's okay. Um,
That's so wow, we're at time.
yeah, we are at time. Coach Hoop is coming up in a little bit. Again, some of these patterns repeat every single day. Is every trade going to work out? It's not. Um, the market respects volume. We plotted out this one, even on this pullback, came back. This price meant something to someone. Uh, Hopefully, everything that Coach Paul and I have done here has helped you with your trading journey. I know it's helped with mine. I do these reviews. I think we do these reviews as much for all of you in the audience as much, for ourselves, right? I learn something here every day, helps me refine my process. And I've seen some traders say, someone earlier said they took the long in gold off the off the white line and heard Coach Paul saying, "What is that white line? It's the 200 moving average." That's why we do this, right? Anytime I take a trade, for the most part, I'm thinking about, okay, when we review this later on, what am I going to be able to say about this trade, right? So it's a little bit of hindsight. I've seen this happen in the past. A little bit of forward looking. What can it potentially look like, and then how do I manage my position in the middle of it, because I don't know, right? It could look like what I've seen before, but I really don't know. Every time is going to be a little bit different, but that's why we go with high probabilities. I don't have the numbers on it like Coach Vince had yesterday. I wish I did, but we might start taking some stats on these J trades, just so we can say, hey, yeah, it's a. I think when we talk about it, Coach, we say 80% probability. Every stat you hear on the internet is only 75% true. Um,
Okay.
you
And
got
made
anything?
up and 80% of those are made up in the moment. No,
Exactly.
you know what? Here's the probability of any trade. This is it. Good start here. It's 50-50
Yep.
because of randomness, because of uncertainty. There's no certainty. In this little hindsight, we're looking for patterns. Um, yeah, they can be cherry picking, or we've also had ones that didn't work and you take a good loss.
Yep. Yep.
So good luck tomorrow. Hopefully you can find yourself a J trade,
Or a white line to
uh,
trade off of.
or a white line trade,
White lines on the
and
charts. White lines on the charts.
throw us a shout out. If not, uh, hit the like button anyway.
Hit the like button anyway. Thank you everyone for joining Coach Hoop in Discord in about 7 minutes from now, and then Coach Ray and Coach Vince in Discord later, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Times. Want to thank everybody for joining. Hit like, hit subscribe, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, Coach.